Report.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
How would you like to do it?
Just what time did you call it to order?
I think it was at 6:40, yeah.
Okay. Delana,
Here.
Stevenson,
Here.
White,
Yes.
Archer,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes. Discussion items. Number one, approve minutes for the December 4th, 2012 regular meeting of the El Reno Air Park Authority. Is there any discussion on the minute?
Move we approve.
Have a motion and a second. Start the roll call with Councilman Archer.
Yes.
Trustee Delana,
Yes.
Vice Chair Stevenson,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yeah.
and Chairman Myers.
Yes. Number two, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve claims for the period beginning December the 1st, 2012 and ending December 31st, 2012. Is there any discussion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Yes, I have a second. Roll call starting with Councilman Delana.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stevenson,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Trustee Archer,
Yes.
Chairman Myers.
Yes. Number three, presentation of a report from John Dean regarding the air park.
As everybody knows, Buddy's been out since September. We're currently using Gage Baumhoff to fill that spot. He was working weekends with Buddy, and we don't know whether Buddy's going to be able to return or not. I've talked to Buddy several times, and he's just not sure. So, reluctant to fill that position on a permanent basis until we have, know something for sure on Buddy. All of our hangars are occupied. Our current prices for fuel are $5.29 for low lead and for low lead and $5.43 for jet fuel. And our ending cash balance was just over $36,000 for the month. So we had a hangar repaired that was damaged back in September. That was completed this month. So
Thank gosh.
yeah.
What about the, have we got any royalties yet off of anything? I haven't seen anything on the books yet, Marcia.
No, we haven't received
Nope.
any. That's just-
There has been activity out there.
We haven't received anything.
Yeah. A lot better than it was 2 years ago when we were loaning money to buy fuel. That's great. What a turnaround. Pretty good deal.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Roll call starting with Councilman Archer.
Yes.
Trustee Delana,
Yes.
Vice Chair Stevenson,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
and Chairman Myers.
Yes. We are adjourned.
Now you don't have to pass it down. I got.
Oh, David, don't you trust me?
I'd like to call the El Reno Recreational Authority regular meeting to order. Roll call beginning with Councilman Archer. Yes.
Trustee Myers,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Stevenson,
Here.
and Chairman Delana.
Can I say here instead of yes? Okay. Okay, discussion items. Approval of minutes of the December 4th, 2012 regular meeting of the El Reno Recreational Authority. So moved. Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And second. Any discussion?
Yes,
All right.
if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
No.
We discussed, the last meeting, there was discussion items based on the hook and slice. We tabled that action. I've had a lot of people on Facebook and just out in the public, wanting to know what we're going to do about, hook and slice and when the decision and everything else. We have a retreat coming up the 25th, I think, and that's one of the discussion items, the one I got to discuss kind of what it is. If we can get from city staff one other thing and some other things if we could get from city staff, maybe a list of if what it would cost for the city to take over and what capabilities that would be, what stature that would be at that point in time, and what the service would be at that point in time. Kind of more of a get together of what we could do with what the amount of money that the city staff's thinking and how they're dealing with that. And also by the 23rd, if we can get some more questions, I guess, and answers from the other two parties that bid it, from, I guess, it's a Hughes Kitchen and Carol's Catering, more of when they think they can take over. Kind of general questions that maybe we might ask Tony to get ready. That way we have to the 23rd to the 25th to kind of look at those and ask questions and gather information. So when they come to us, we don't have to go through the big long, because we have a pretty big agenda meeting that way. If we can go ahead and get that together, and then what we can do is go over some of that, and then I think it would help facilitate whether we can make a decision whether we're going to do it ourselves on what level that would be, or what level we expect them to do based on a proposal and what our level of need would be required from them, so they know what they're getting into just as much as us. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So if we could have city staff do that, and the reason why is because, and I do kind of want to make something for the public. I know everybody's antsy about going, but we've done this process twice now, and it's worked for a short period of time. Of course, we're looking for a long-term commitment, I would assume, from the Recreation Authority and from the city side. The city owns the building, so we're looking for a long-term commitment.
Definitely.
If you look at the numbers alone, I had John Dean pull the numbers up. The month of December, January, and February are your lowest months in golfing. I just had him pull that up. So really, we're not missing out. For that facility, we are. So I went ahead and had him also pull what they paid on the rounds per golf based on Bone and Jerry Nelson. I was going to say something else. And really, we got enough time frame. I don't want people to understand, we're kind of in a downturn here based on the numbers and based on the numbers that the restaurant saw participation in this month. So I think it's critical to get it operational by March. If we can get it operational before then, I think that's great. I think there's some questions that we need to determine between the 23rd and the 25th to ask those people when they're willing to do that. Okay. Other than that, that's all the other discussion I have.
I don't think that'll be a problem. That was kind of the game plan anyway, so I think that worked great. So I appreciate your comments.
Was there a game plan to it?
Yeah, we already discussed that, so I think that's a great plan. You're just reinforcing it. I think it's good.
Did you have it the 23rd, set for the 23rd?
For the
I mean, the
conference.
25th. The meeting is
Yeah,
fine.
we saw I understand
No,
what
I
you're
got
saying.
you, I got
We
you.
had the
I
meeting,
agree.
but I'm just saying, I
We'll
think
have it ahead of you. So
I think
ahead
there's
of
some
time.
more. I think there's there really wasn't a game plan. I think that we had to refine that and make sure everybody's direction is the same one. I think there was one deal, maybe the city operated it, but also the other things of what the time frame is going to be, what we're going to do, and one of the exit deal would be at least March. So I think that's what we all need to, as a whole, need to decide on, and I think that's what we're going to.
I think 23rd is achievable, is it not, guys? Sure. So I think we're good. Thank
Good
you.
enough.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments regarding the, let's see,
We're in the minutes.
we have the
Yeah,
minutes,
your minutes.
So do I have a motion to approve? We have a motion and second, did we not? Discussion, any further discussion? Okay, let's call for the vote then. Beginning with Councilman Stevenson.
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yeah.
Trustee Myers,
Yes.
Trustee Archer,
Yes.
Chairman Delaney.
Yes. Item number 2 is discussion, consideration, possible action to approve claims for the period beginning December 1, 2012 through and ending December 31st, 2012. Do we have a motion?
Yes. Second.
And a second. Do we have any discussion? There being no discussion, I would like to call for a roll call vote, beginning with Councilman Archer.
Yes.
Trustee Myers,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Trustee Stevenson, Chairman Delaney.
Yes. Item number D is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You do.
A motion and a second?
Sure.
A roll call vote beginning with Councilman Stevenson?
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Trustee Myers,
Yes.
Trustee Archer.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chairman
That's okay.
Delaney.
We look a lot alike. Yes.
Yeah. Hand me that gavel, Bob.
Oh, I'm sorry.
being 6:59.
It's now 7 o'clock. I'm sorry.
Hospital.
Yeah, it's hospital, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Before we start, there was a problem. In the recently amended version of the hospital trust initiative, was a couple of years ago, Article 5, Section 2, the person who shall be the mayor and vice mayor of such beneficiary should become automatically the chairman and vice chairman of the trustee and shall preside over all meetings, perform other duties designated by trustees. When I didn't accept it, I guess, John Dean, were you the one that, or you or Tony, one said, yeah, I have to, based on what we have to do. So this time I'll do it, and if you want to change it, we'll be glad to. But I don't have it's mandated that we have to do that. I got an opinion from Roger, so. All right, it's now 7 o'clock. I now call the Arena Hospital Board meeting to order. Roll call vote start with Vice Chairman Archer.
Yes.
Trustee Myers,
Here.
Trustee Stevenson,
Here.
Trustee Delana,
Here.
and Chairman White.
Yes. Okay, we'll go on to item number 1, approval of minutes of the hospital board meeting, December the 4th, 2012, regular meeting of the El Reno City Hospital Authority. Is there any corrections? So the minutes this time? If not, do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote start with Trustee Delana.
Aye.
Trustee Stevenson,
Yes.
Trustee Myers,
Well, how would I have a question for Roger in regards to what we weren't aware of, I guess the ruling you made on the trust and all that. I mean, the minutes wouldn't be
Well,
correct.
now hang on just a second. It might be a good question. If we want to go ahead and read back, I want to make sure I stay to what we're doing here. We're in a motion. We've had a motion second, and we're in the middle of vote. If you want to vote no, and I'll vote no too, and we'll revisit it, I don't mind doing that for you. But let's go ahead and finish the vote so we can go ahead and do
I'll
that.
just vote no.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, fine with
I mean, I want to keep consistent. I want to be consistent throughout the whole thing.
Trustee Archer,
Yes.
Well,
No, it don't pass.
all right. That doesn't help me much, Trustee Archer. No, it doesn't. All right. All right. Yes, sure. Okay, motion carries 4-1. Sorry, Kent. I tried to help you. No, I did not. I tried to do that. I tried to do that fair. Sorry.
It's not the first time he's done that to us, is it, Bobby Don?
I'm just sitting here.
Yeah, you're on your own on this one. Go ahead. Okay, now we'll go on to number 2, discussion, consideration, possible action, approval claims for the period beginning to December 1st, 2012 and ending December 31st, 2012. But before we go on, do you have a question you'd like to ask this time?
Well, I mean, it's irrelevant now, Roger,
Okay.
and I don't want to take up anybody's time, but I just didn't know how to vote. It didn't seem that the minutes, I mean, they would be correct, but then again, they were flawed to begin with, so.
Right, and I didn't give a formal opinion. I was asked about the language in the trust
Oh,
indenture.
okay.
and
Well,
quoted
I
that.
just- I
It does
misunderstood Matt earlier.
It just says the persons who shall be the mayor and vice mayor of said beneficiary shall become automatically the chairman and vice chairman of the trustees and shall preside at all meetings and perform other duties. John Dean brought that to our attention at the last meeting.
At the last meeting,
At the end of the last meeting.
The last meeting.
was there a reason that I wasn't made aware anyway? Was it an email that
He
was
said,
sent out that I missed?
he said, did you, well, like you said, we're not going to take a lot of time, but he said, did you know that? I said, no, I did not know that. And I said to you, I said, I did not know that. Matter of fact, I've been so busy all month, I forgot about it until today. There was another question, and Roger Reinhardt asked me a question, and I called him, and he sent this to me at, I said, I forgot to ask you, and then he sent this to me. I asked him for the language, not opinion. And I said, is that true? He goes, let me read this deal, and he did, and that was sent at 2:32 today. So,
Well, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of this till just, I think, the day before Christmas.
yeah.
And I guess we failed. We probably should have
Should have
notified
been
you
an
all.
agenda item.
Yeah, we should have notified everyone but, you know, in the past, we had previously selected the chairman in this very manner, the manner that we did at the last meeting. So, you know, and like I said, we don't have an opinion from the city attorney. I'm assuming that if that's what he says, that's what he says. Does it also say that you cannot select another chairman, or is that
shall-
reclusive?
We just asked it, it says shall be. That's, and once again, we just didn't know that it was in there. We found it, and
Oh, it's always been that way. It's just, that's been the way it's always been.
It was amended when we did the second amendment.
I don't know what all happened. I wasn't involved. I just know for 20 years it was that way, so I don't know what it is now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, no, it wasn't, David. I'm going to correct you. It said the members from the board shall be the mayor and council. And what we did was we changed that when we took it over.
That's what I
when
said.
you all quit. No.
20 years prior to that, that's
No.
what I'm saying.
That we were on the board. We changed this. This says shall be the chairman and vice chairman. You were the chairman of the hospital board. sir.
Okay, sure.
I wanted to correct
They
you.
were members of the board. Yeah.
Well,
they were
just
members
like I
of the
said,
board. Yeah.
shall be members of the
correct.
board.
You're absolutely correct.
Okay. All right. Now, let's go on to item number 2, discussion, consideration, possible action to approve claims list for the period beginning December 1st, 2012 and ending December 31st, 2012. Any discussion? Motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote start with Vice Trustee Archer.
Yes.
Trustee Myers?
Yes.
Trustee Stevenson?
Yes.
Trustee Delina?
Yes.
And Chairman White?
Yes. Number 3, discussion and consideration action regarding options for the hospital authority to develop a medical clinic site on Lot 3, Block 3, Southern Hills Edition, City of El Reno. It was tabled, brought back up. I know we've all been busy because of the holidays. The last meeting, Chairman Archer and I were supposed to get together. I'm sure we've both been busy. We probably need to, figure out what we need to do on this, or move on, or do something. I was aware of, we lost a doctor last week to a suddenly death that's been very supportive of our hospital, Michael Sullivan, and he's going to be greatly missed by the hospital. He's a big integral part of the hospital, was a major part, and I think there's going to be some more changes here within the current week to the medical community, and it could really put the medical community of El Reno really in danger of growth. So I'm going to suggest, since Vice Trustee Archer and I, if we could get together maybe this week and set something with Mercy and focus on maybe 5 things to discuss this, maybe a feasibility, fiscal organization, facility development, financial allocation, and the final disposition and review of the whole overall project of what we need to do. And I think it'd be good if we maybe Vice Chairman Archer and I maybe meet with Mercy maybe Thursday, Doug, if you guys are available, lunch or something like that. We'll get together, and then we'll go over what we maybe need to go over, and then we can get maybe hopefully with you and some other people from the medical community that you can give us names. Maybe Mr. Archer can maybe reach out on one side, I can reach out on the other. What we can do is get together a list of names. I don't really want to do a committee, because I think if we do that, I want to make this open to the public. I want everybody involved. So what we can do is do an invitation to the paper like we did our public meetings, and do personal invites to the staff that Mr. Archer and I come up with, and focus maybe on these 5 entities, the 5 that we discussed. I think it covers everything that maybe needed to look at maybe a project like this, and then come back to this board to see with what our findings would, what would be capable to do on this issue based on this, and maybe other entities, other people that there might be other means that we don't understand out there that maybe can be enlightened. Maybe have something at the hospital to review that area. I think there's some options by Trustee Delana to look at maybe options at the hospital to explore all those, get those either going that way or why we can't do it, so we get all the answers back to everybody pretty quickly, because I think the time frame we're running into is very critical mass at this time, don't you think, Doug? Because of the loss of the doctors that we're losing in the next, we lost last week and we're losing this week. It's going to be very time frame that it's going to be critical for us to do the hospital. Whether the hospital was going by itself or it was whatever else, it's always a need. As chairman of Delana, as a hospital board, the doctors are what make your patients, and half the hospital, the doctors don't do it. Maybe this might be a time where we can come together and see what we need to do to facilitate a direction to maybe compensate that. But if you're willing to do that, if you all can do that, we'll meet with you. If Councilman Archer can, we'll meet with you at noon. We'll go over these and kind of focus on that if that's okay with you guys. I think it's a starting point. I think it's a point where we can focus on. I think it's something to do with feasibility, the fiscal organization, and give you all the answers maybe that you requested that you need. I'm having a lot, I don't know about you all, but I'm having a lot of pressure put on me from people in the community for this. So I mean, and if you're not, I hope you talk to your constituents.
For what? Specifically?
To get that clinic out there.
Okay.
And David, that clinic might not be the whole focus of this. I don't know where it's going to go. I think what I've done is kind of generalized and broad and stroked to focus on that, but also have enough leeway to go outside to see what there might be some different directions we might be able to go.
Okay, can I have some say now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, first of all, I didn't know this was coming this way, so, we have spent the last month trying to get some stuff organized to do this and everything. In fact, it's already in the mail and already out and moving at the present time. And I was prepared tonight to give a presentation. And the biggest thing we were looking at was an economic development of El Reno, and we find that in this here, the economic development of El Reno, one of the most important things is the medical community, not the hospital, not any clinic or anything else, the whole medical community. And the thing that we were looking at, where are we going? We have no idea where we're going. Where are we going to, how are we going to get there? That's the biggest thing we got to look at, is how we're going to get there. The next thing we had here, we're in the process, and this is where everything just flies apart now, typical. We're in the process of putting together a focus group at this time, where the letters went out today to every person in the medical community in El Reno, which was what we wanted to do, because we feel like, or I felt like, or what we did, that the total medical community needs to be involved, not just one specific thing, not this or that. How do we come to a conclusion that all of them are going to be there? We have we sent letters, invitations out, inviting people, all of the medical people, to a meeting to join the focus group to look into the future in a 1, 3, 5, 10-year plan of how we can plan and how we're going to move all this forward as it needs to be. Plan for our community in the medical field, using all of our medical people, and medical doctors, home care, hospice, the hospital, emergency care, dentistry, pharmacy, nursing homes, optometrists, chiropractic, hospice, and all those people have to be involved in the situation to where you can find out where we want to go as a total medical group. The other thing that I was saying in this, that Mr. White, myself, Mr. Rivera, and some of us needed to be removed from the focus group to let the professional people have a say and to put us in the right directions. Now, they're not going to make the final decision, but they would have a situation to where we could work together. One of the major concerns was that one of the biggest players in the whole thing is Mercy, but we have no idea what their plans, what they are, what their business or anything else is, and how we were going to accomplish all this. And then I would like to, I had another thing here I was going to read, and I think I will, and that is flexibility in business begins with listening, really listening to the people, to your customers, so you can match their desire with your capabilities while also keeping your own business goals in mind. When you talk to your customers and become a fan of feedback. It's amazing what the business can become when you use the information wisely. It is not about your products, it's about the customers, and your job is to keep your product as interesting as possible to the consumer. By listening and then putting your resources to work in new, powerful, and profitable ways, you just might find your business on an upswing. And I think that until we start listening to people and involving our professional people in decision making, that we got a major concern. I don't know anything about doctoring to speak of, but I'm sure that we have plenty of people within our community that does. And those are the people we got to sit down with and we got to look at, and we got to come forward with a unified group. Kind of like in talking with a gentleman yesterday, I said the most important thing that we got to do in this health thing and in economic development, just like we did with the school, we said the school needed help. They're going to win today. There's no question about that. And that's where we got to get with the situation with our medical field. And it's a win situation. It's not, can we do this or what? We've got to win. Otherwise, we're failing our whole community, and we're going to fail everything with our future. And that's how important it is to get people involved and quit dividing people. We've divided this community up in the medical profession, something furious. And that's got to come back together, and we all got to get on the same page if we're going to move forward. And that's what, there's not a person in our community that don't want to move forward in the best way we can. And the only way we can do that is all the people have to step forward, and we have to listen, and we have to find out where we're going and move in that direction. So I guess I'll have to send out a letter tomorrow telling these people that this is not going to happen. Thank you.
Oh, where did we mail those letters out?
No, you didn't.
Well, I mean,
this is not done by the city. This is an outside completely.
okay, and let me ask you, Mr. Archer, I guess it's one of those things, if we all want to get together, then let's get together and all play by the same rules. I mean, what I mean by that is, I asked you.
The rules changed between
Now, hey,
last
listen.
time and this
Now,
time.
listen. I let you sit. I sit back and let you talk and run your traps and bellow for quite a while. But I think you have to pay.
resent that.
I understand. You resemble that. My question is what do we need to do, Mr. Archer, to go forward? Because if you're sending out letters on your own, and we as a board, we said we'll get together, get me a list, we all agreed on that, I thought. I mean, and that's fine.
He didn't send them out on his own. He sent them out as the chairman of the hospital authority, what he thought that was the position he was, but he found out later he wasn't.
But guys, you don't send anything out on city letterhead. You understand? I mean,
It's
hang
not
on.
on city.
No.
It's not on a city letterhead.
But you're chairman. That's what I'm trying to say. You guys, now let's get transparency here. Now we all want transparency. Now let's now guys, you guys are now. Come on now, David. You guys, this is a little snake oil you boys are selling. And it's kind of one of those things that now hang on. I got the floor. I let everybody talk. Now it's my turn.
You do have the floor.
That's right. And I don't understand. Let's get this all out here. If we're sending letters out, I'd like to know. It's kind of like you don't tell this man who to hire and fire, and if this board's directed, you need to go through city staff. Now you boys need to know what the rules are up here and go by them, just like everybody else does. And the other thing is, this board that we're on, that you're trustee on, I'm chairman of right now, however you want to do it, is the Arizona Hospital Authority Board. If you want to bring this up during city council about economic development and everything else, we are concerned with one thing on this board, and that is that hospital, the lease, and how that hospital sustains itself. We're not dealing with everything else. There's no patients in there because of lack of doctors. They've tried to do it. We've all tried to do that. So we've all tried to work through that process. We'll be glad to do that again. If we can step back, we'll step back however you want to. But let's stay focused on what to stay focused on. Half the stuff you said was economic development and everything else. We're focused on the hospital and the longevity of what we can do to save that hospital. Now, we need to put all this aside, and I'm willing to do that. And I don't want to fight no more. You tell me where you want to play ball at, boys, and we'll play the best ball you want to. Just show me what field you want to play on. We'll play on a soccer field, we'll play soccer. We'll play football, we'll play football. Let me know the rules, and we'll all get together and make the deal work. But once again, it won't work with me, but it won't work with the three people on the other side mailing stuff out and doing the other side. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because I really don't. I want to be part of the team, and I hope you want to be part of the team, because we're all playing for El Reno and the survival of the hospital and in the medical field of all of El Reno and the healthcare of all of El Reno. So let's put all of it aside, but let's all get on the same playing field. So I'm done. I'm done yelling. Go
May
ahead.
I have the floor now?
You can have the floor.
I'm an elected councilman, but I'm also a citizen.
You are.
And I feel that any time that I want to send a letter to a group of citizens to discuss anything, I have the natural right to do that because I'm a citizen of the United States of America. If I'm making an official action as the chairman of a particular city function, that's a different issue. That's not what that man did. What that man did was send out a letter concerned about issues regarding the hospital, not on a business or a official matter, but just to sit and talk about it, because that had not been done before.
Sure. And you signed that, Citizen Archer, I'm assuming. Okay.
I don't know what's that.
David, don't.
I haven't-
Come on.
I haven't
Just because
seen
you
the
three
letter.
boys get together and get your little game plan together, I'm not buying it. Let's move on. Let's move on. No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You get in there. 'Cause you're vice chairman. You approved of it, you said.
You bet. I was very much.
Apparently you all three knew about it.
Whoa.
You all three knew about it.
I knew about it. I didn't get the letter, but
But you all discussed it, all three of you.
we discussed what?
The letter.
We discussed, the only thing I've discussed with whatever he is now,
Slippery slope, boys.
Mr. Archer, is what we should do about citizen input and discussions about the hospital coming up. That's all I did.
Okay. Good save. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead. You do.
Okay, well, I mean, I was very much aware of the letter and helped with the input of gathering up some names of people that I felt like might want to be involved. I even went to, I had to go to the doctor as usual, and I had to speak with Dr. Magley, and I asked her personally if she would consider being part of the tax finding review. Don't feel bad about it at all. There wasn't somebody trying to be sneaky or ambush somebody, because I felt like that with Councilman Archer being chairman of the hospital authority at that time, get a plan in place and be able to present it to the authority. So much, man, I don't even know the word for it, but it is horseshit.
That's the word.
That is put out there. We talk about this hospital. Our list here, as everybody knows, that hospital is so, whether it's under Parkview or whether it's under Mercy or whatever name that we put it under, it's important to everybody up here, but you can't imagine how important it is to me and my family. So with that being said, we talk about no patients in the hospital, the patient count being down, because of the way things were handled. And very similar to what happened and has gone on tonight with the being ambushed by, but I don't feel like just Matt did it. I feel like City Manager Rivera had a big part in it, because we should have been told, made aware of this thing coming up with the trust. And even the last meeting where these people were appointed, what was appointed as chairman, we wanted Matt to be chairman. I did. I even nominated him. And he denied. He didn't want it for whatever reason. I would have been okay with it. But I don't know how Councilman Delana feels about it or Councilman Archer feels about it, but I truly do feel ambushed. I don't know of a stronger word for it, but anyway, to talk about the game playing that goes on, the way things were handled when the hospital, all the turmoil that went through, Councilman Archer related to it being split, everybody's divided. You truly can't imagine how divided it is. And I will say this, I commend Doc Maley for being able to rise above that. She said she was more than willing to do whatever she could to help, promote, ensure that the hospital was doing good. She was treated terribly bad, in my understanding. I didn't personally see any of that, but like I say, the things that went on in that hospital, the 3 doctors that were alienated basically when Parkview went to Mercy represented 65% of the patient count in that hospital. Now we're saying, oh, well, we've got to have patients, which every hospital does and need. But if that was so critically important, why did we alienate the doctors that were providing the patients to begin with? That's one of my biggest questions. Every week in the paper, we have some sort of editorial about the clinic and the need of it. Whether you for it or against it, like I've said then and I'll say now, I feel like that they're going to, I feel like that the hospital is going to be closed. They're going to either use the reason as the clinic's not being built, so we have to close the hospital. Or if the clinic is built, then we don't need the hospital. I would love to talk to Mercy. I would love to, I was more than excited. You can ask Councilman Archer. I bugged him to death because I really see this as a positive thing for El Reno. It just needs to be done correctly. There again, I think that Councilman Archer was more than within his rights to start the ball rolling. Matt did basically the same thing. But there again, I just can't imagine how ambushed I feel.
Well, I will say this, Mr. Rivera didn't have anything to do with it. You can take it with him, and I just really appreciate you bringing him into it. But that's the way you guys play a little bit. And one more thing, and I'm done. Like you said, I'll probably get a couple more rebuttals. That's okay. I'm kind of looking forward to it because I'm here all night, boys. I'm here for the, hang on, I'm going to let you get in there. But I'm going to let you get in there. I'm going to let you get in for sure because you need to get in there because you're getting thrown into a group that you're not even part of. There's no group. It's what's right for El Reno. And it goes back to the point to where, I'm glad Dr. Maley wants to do it. One thing she do is put patients in the hospital. We didn't make that choice. It wasn't us. It was if we got off the deal, we'd give it over to Quorum. Quorum went bankrupt. We can go through the whole scenario. Look, the bottom line is it goes back to the haves. The haves. I want to make sure you look at me. The haves and the have-nots. And it goes back to the point to where they're going to make sure that this deal's wrong and it fails. And that's my opinion because that's the whole plan, the whole thing. If they pull out, they got their way, and then it all crumbled. But don't forget, as we are still getting paid, we are getting paid monthly by Mercy. Is that correct, Doug? What happened to Watonga? What happened to Anadarko? What happened to Kingfisher? The time this was going on, there was a big article in the paper. Why can't we be more like Kingfisher? Kingfisher hadn't even paid for a year. They hadn't even paid their deal. They're so far behind. All these other communities had to tax themselves and scramble to do taxes to cover the ambulance service to even get the health care that they bring here to our community now. So, I'm not going to argue with you back and forth. This is just one of those unless the people finally rise up and say, this isn't about anybody, this is about health care and everybody deserves it. And whether you like it or not, no, I'm not at the hospital now. Why isn't someone running it? I mean, it was always an excuse to do something their way. And once the people that think they run this community keep you down, they're going to keep you down. Okay. Any other discussions? Go ahead, Tony.
I suppose that I'm the fall guy. I'm the guy who gets paid.
You're wrong.
Let me just say this. I became aware. I was gone during the holidays, and I got back, and I became aware of this, and I said that, in my opinion, and I still feel this way today, that we should get an opinion from the city attorney because this body took an action to select a chairman and vice chairman. Now, I don't know that just because a trust indenture says one thing, that you can't do another.
That's right.
You know, and I just wanted to get an opinion. Now, that opinion, as far as I know, has not been forthcoming or requested. I did not know. I was just as ambushed as you are. I did not know that the transition was going to take place in this way.
Okay,
You
well,
know.
like I say, the ambush part, Tony, is the fact that even if you're gone, John knew about it. Evidently, he's the one that found it. I mean, that's pretty good. But Katie, we all have emails. There is
She didn't know
tons
they-
and
they-
tons and
don't-
tons of communication. And even if you were gone, and I'm not saying, but I live and breathe by my phone. If I'm here and one of my customers call me, I'm at his service. So what I'm saying to you is that even if you're gone, you could have at least let us be aware.
I understand, and I apologize for that.
Is that unreasonable?
No, it's not. And I apologize for not having notified, but the question would have been, there has been a question brought up,
Sure,
not this
sure.
is the way it is.
Sure.
But, there's questions brought up almost every day by all sides. And I want to make one final comment. I guess the vice mayor is now the vice chairman of the authority. Okay, I don't see what the difference is in the way that it was identified that the letter was sent out, what the difference is as a member of the authority, whether he was a chairman or not. I don't know why that makes the letters invalid. I'm not clear on that point. You see my question? You understand my question?
No, he doesn't get it.
Well, here's our legal authority.
Well, hey, boys, I popped all this on everybody. I didn't ambush nobody. I just ambushed every one of you all.
Because
I'm making you responsible. But
I mean, that letter was sent out by a chairman from an action from this body.
yeah,
I don't understand
Yeah.
what invalidates it, based on this unofficial or, attorney opinion
investigate that. Maybe turn it into the DA. What do you think,
decision
Kent?
with the trust,
You did something wrong.
The city prosecutor won't work.
No. Well, if there's any other discussion, we've all, you want to say something?
I was on a visit with Tony.
Okay, go ahead.
Tony, the only thing is where it was coming from. It wasn't us.
I understand. That's why I'm saying, why is it invalidated now?
It shouldn't be, but the thing about it is the people won't want to do it if we're going to do it different. So we're already into two different things. So one of the two of them needs to go away.
Do it their way or don't do it at all. Once again. Okay, any other questions? Good play, boys. Just made my decision to run for next time. Any other discussion? All right. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote start with Vice Chairman Archer.
Trustee Myers?
Yes.
Trustee Stevenson?
Yes.
Trustee Delina?
Yes.
Chairman White?
Yes. We are adjourned. It's now 7 o'clock. I now call the El Reno Municipal Authority regular meeting of Tuesday, January the 8th, 2013, 7 o'clock to order. Roll call start with Vice Chairman Archer.
Trustee Myers?
Absent. So I'll note the time when he comes back in.
Trustee Stevenson? Here. Trustee Delina?
Here.
Chairman White?
Here. We'll move on to D, consent agenda. The following items were considered to be routine by the El Reno Municipal Authority, being acted with one motion. Should discussion be desired to that item be removed from this consent agenda and considered separately. City manager recommends with one motion that we will approve. Number one, approval of minutes of December 4th, 2012, regular meeting of El Reno Municipal Authority. Number two, approval of claims period beginning December 1st, 2012 and ending December 31st, 2012. Any questions? Do I have a motion for approval in a minute?
So moved.
On the claims, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Do you want to make that motion?
I believe that's what I thought I did. I'd like to move
I understand.
that we approve in
I
one
just didn't-
motion the consent agenda.
You don't want to pull anything?
I do not.
You don't want to pull anything?
I do not.
Fair enough. Noted. Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. Roll call vote. Start with trustee Delana.
Yes.
Trustee Stevenson.
Yes.
Trustee Myers.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Archer.
Yes.
And Chairman White.
Yes. Item E, discussion items. Number 1, discussion consideration possible action pay claim for Schwartz Paving Incorporated amount of $88,916.65 from capital improvement bond funds.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second. Oh, noted, Kent came back in at 7:35, starting 4. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Roll call vote start with Vice Chairman Archer.
Yes.
Trustee Myers.
Yes.
Trustee Stevenson.
Yes.
Trustee Delana.
Yes.
Chairman White.
Abstain. Move on to item number 2, discussion.
Why are we abstaining?
I always abstain to that action,
Why?
just because I just kind of, I don't have to. I got a report, or I got a deal from Roger. I don't have to. I just don't feel comfortable doing it really, unless I'm forced to pay the issue to do the
What are you
claims.
using to abstain on?
I just don't.
Is that ethical
I-
or is it some other reason?
I think it's one of those things kind of ethical. Some things, if you notice, I abstain on other things with I think Conley paving. I abstained on. I'm going to abstain on another 3 or 4 other items. I know these are been invited. I have a consulting company that does work with certain people. I don't any part of that, but I just like keeping it separate. I just like doing that.
Well, I believe if we go back and look, that you're the one that has to make the decision whether it is something to abstain for, and it should be consistent.
I think I've done it every time except once.
3 times.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, sir.
I don't think so.
Guess we can force you to vote then.
I think the only time, let me clarify this, just because I think one time you made me vote on it because it wasn't. Is that right? And then,
One time you forgot to vote.
No.
Tony didn't. Tony did not. We came back to the tape.
well, once
and
again,
Tony forgot to tell you to.
once again,
abstain.
what I'm trying to say is, I make a deal to Marcia that and even before, even to even Gayla, that when that item's on there, I always like pulling that. I've met with Roger Reinhardt several. Boys, look, if you want to vote for it, I'll vote for it. Roger Reinhardt said I can vote for it. It'd be like David Delana last month voting for the $24,000 payment to him. You know, or Archer, you doing the other deal. Do I think there's really wrong with it? I'm sure you didn't mean to do that.
I was not a councilman when that was.
Yeah, last month.
That was the claim. The job was done long before that.
But you paid payment. That's what you do. You paid the check didn't come. You gave her authority to do that. Yeah, you did. And just like today, you're on the board of the bank. You paid those payments at the bank. Well, anyway, I'm just saying, I don't care what you do. I just want to, if you want to abstain, you can. I'm giving you that option. You got to police yourself. But yes, you did do that, Mr. Delana. You paid yourself $24,000. I don't have a problem with that. Anything else? All right. 2, discussion, consideration, possible action to accept project approved change order number 1 for $2,540.40 to make second and final payment to Southwest Water Works, LLC, in the amount of $16,323.90 on project number C36 waterline improvements on Cherokee Lane from Choctaw to 23rd Street, and activate maintenance bond. Any questions?
Good job. So moved.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
But I do have a question. Did we finish discussion item number 1? Did we? Get
Oh, I'm
voted?
sorry. Did we not?
I didn't think so. I don't.
No,
I mean,
you're
it
right.
don't matter to me about the IDOT and the T.
No, we need to do that.
Anyway, somebody had
Did
said
we,
raise
I thought we
hell about
voted.
it
Did we
next
not
week.
vote?
Did we? Yeah, I thought we had.
We voted.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, let me do the IDOT and do the
Did you
T
record the
crossing.
vote?
So,
It was do both of them? Like,
Yeah.
we approved all of them?
Consent
at once?
agenda.
Consent agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. Did
Item
you-
E1,
You're saying E1 we did not finish? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I thought we didn't finish.
He was the last vote. I thought he voted on it. Mr. R, and he asked after the question.
I have all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Let me run the meeting. All right, discussion consideration. Possible action, change order number 1, 2005. We're always worried about somebody else, ain't we? $5,540.40 to make second and final payment to Southwest Waterworks LLC for the amount of $16,323.90 on project number C36 waterline improvements on Cherokee Lane from Choctaw to 23rd Street and activate the maintenance bond. Are you satisfied with that, Mr. Myers?
Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
good.
You
I
got a
think
motion to
did miss
approve?
a word. You did. You missed this. That make a second?
Do we have a motion?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Do I have a second? Roll call vote with Delana. Trustee
Yes.
Delana.
Trustee Stevenson,
Yeah.
Trustee Myers,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Archer,
Yes.
Chairman White.
Abstain. Item F. File, or motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'm sorry.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote start with Vice Trustee Archer. I think who it is.
Trustee Myers,
Yes.
Trustee Stevenson,
Yes.
Trustee Delana,
Yes.
Chairman White.
Yes.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Mr. Myers did. Okay. Now, well, before we start, and before, Paul, I have you pray, the school bond issue passed by 72%. So, congratulations. Good for them. That's great. Good, good, good. And I said 73 is what I said. So that's great. All right. Good deal. And thank you, Delana, and Councilman Stevenson for your support. All right. We'll move on. Paul, would you like to come up here and help us out here before we call the meeting to order? We'll let Paul. Would you all please stand?
Make it a good one, Paul.
Make a good one, Paul. We're going to need it.
Ministerial Alliance, we met today at lunch at Giorgio's, and our president, Don Hefta, formed a letter of thank you to you for your prayer breakfast. And all the men signed it today, and it even has some of Giorgio's good dressing on it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Very much.
And I think we raised some good money for that, did we not?
I think we did, yes.
That's great.
I haven't heard the amount yet, but
Apparently, I looked at Katie to give me the amount, and she didn't know either. Lead us in prayer, Paul.
the speaker was excellent.
He was great.
He was great.
Banking Union did a good job with that.
Let's all pray. Our gracious, loving, and heavenly Father, we thank you, Father, for times like this, and we can call upon you for your peace and your guidance. And Father, that for our community, that Lord, that all of these here, everybody that's here, Father, that are concerned for our community and the love we have for this place. And Father, that we grow, that we move on, and that we just keep growing. And we thank you for the companies that are coming. We thank you, Father, for the prosperity they're bringing here. We thank you for more jobs, Father, for this place. And we just call those in the name of Jesus. Father, we just thank you that all of our men and women and boys and girls that are in the military, they're somewhere else, Father. We just thank you that you're going to bring them home safely to their land. And that, Father, you will protect them and keep them safe. And Father, I thank you for all these board members, and Father, you keep them safe, Father, and you give them guidance, and Father, you minister to them through your Spirit, and Father, through their spirit, Father, that they would hear you clearly about the direction, about what we should do, about what we should choose, about what we should do here in our community. And we thank you for this place we live in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Join me in the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. What's that? 1,735 for what? Oh, thank you. Already left. Now, almost $2,000 minister. That's great. Okay. Let's see here. D, Consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the El Reno City Council, being acted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on that item, I be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. City manager recommends one motion that they will approve approval of one, approval of minutes, December 4th, 2012, regular meeting of El Reno City Council, approval of claims list for the period beginning December 1st, 2012, and ending September 31st, 2012. Mr. Lane, would you like to pull anything?
Just want to be consistent. Move we approve.
Thank you. All right.
Second.
Noted. I have a motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry. Golly, I'm going too fast. Roll call vote start with roll call vote start with Vice Mayor Archer. Thank you.
Councilman Myers,
Yes.
Councilman Stevenson,
Kevin Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Delana,
Here.
and Mayor White.
Yes. Now we're here. Now a motion, and I need a second. Okay. Roll call vote. Motion made by Councilman Delana and seconded by Councilman Myers. Roll call vote start with Councilman Delana.
Councilman Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilman Myers, Councilman Archer,
Yes.
and Mayor White.
Yes. Okay, number one, discussion consideration possible action to pay claim for Schwartz Paving Incorporated for the amount of $88,916.65 from capital improvement bond funds.
Yeah, audience participation.
Oh, I'm sorry, golly. Audience participation. Anybody, that's usually the other one. Pass that. Audience participation. Anybody having an item of business to present to City Council that does not appear on the agenda, please come to the podium at this time and state your name. You're requested to limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Any item being presented must pertain to the City of El Reno business. Anything on the agenda? Okay. Go on to item number F, discussion items. Number one, discussion consideration possible action pay claim to Schwartz Paving, amount of $88,916.65, capital improvement bond funds. Do I have a motion?
Is in the authority.
Okay, motion's in authority.
Yes.
Second, roll call vote start with Councilman now. Delana.
Yes.
Councilman Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilman Archer,
Yes.
Mayor White.
Abstain. Number two, discussion consideration possible action to accept project to approve change order number one for $2,540.40 and make second final payment. Southwest Waterworks, amount of $16,323.90 on project number C36. Do I have a motion?
Is in the authority.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Yes.
Roll call vote start with Vice Mayor Archer.
Yes.
Councilman Myers,
Yes.
Councilman Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilman Delana,
Yes.
Mayor White.
Abstain. Number three, discussion consideration possible action to approve change order to number one, $25,780.90 Silver Star Construction Project on number C23, C-20B, Southern Hills, Southwest 27th Street Development, paving, storm draining, and then pond improvement.
Mayor, the initial contract for this project was $518,600, and it entailed, building the road and fixing the drainage so that it would be a common drainage structure for all the facilities that are there, as well as any potential development that might take place in the future. As we got to started with the project, we intended to build a pond on the north side that was going to be done by city workforce. Well, as we got started, we determined that the best option for handling all of the drainage and all of the water that was going to be running off from the property was to actually change the design so that we could have the holding facility, the holding water. We could hold water on both ponds to enhance the looks of the facility there, of the whole area, and at the same time have enough elevation difference to hold water to serve as the common drainage area.
Yeah. We don't have to
As we did that, it was also determined that there was enough of the soil that could be taken out in making that one change that we could actually gain close to another acre, or a little over an acre of land there for the difference of this change order, which is $25,780.90. The change orders are usually approved, by the city manager for less than $25,000. I always like to, and we don't have to bid anything for anything under $50,000, as you know. So actually, this is an item that even if we'd have had to go out to bid, we wouldn't have had to bid it. We could have, but because of the Silver Star was there doing the work, it would save us a lot of money and startup cost and things of that nature to just have them give us a proposal for a change order. And so we're presenting that change order to you so that we could, go ahead and effect that change, gain that much land that we can utilize. Certainly, the cost of that land would more than offset the $25,780, and then go ahead and enhance the area by having two facilities that hold water all the time, or most of the time, and to still serve as the common drainage area for that Southern Hills development. Are there any questions?
Tony, let me ask one question I don't have a question on the 25,000 or anything.
Yes, sir.
But what is our, because this was basically done before I was ever on the council.
Yes, sir.
What is basically, are we trying to sell land there? What are we trying to accomplish with the land itself?
Yeah, when that land was purchased almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, it was purchased in a fashion that the CIP funds only paid for the portion where the public safety center, and the plan at that time that was developed by then the city council and so on was to develop it and hopefully enhance the economic development in the area. At that time, if you recall, we were about to go into a deep economic crisis, and so we wanted to try to attract businesses to that area. One of the first that approached us was the First Baptist Church, and I think that's very well documented as to the process we went through to sell that. We felt like that also would provide an anchor, for development of that property. And then, of course, the Mercy Clinic started being talked about the time that the change took place with the hospital authority, about a year later after the lease. So that also became a likely spot for a Mercy Clinic that we felt like was going to be attractive and, right on the highway and provide, again, a huge billboard for El Reno. So that's how that plan was developed. We have gotten, and you mentioned one of them today, we have gotten several groups or businesses that have shown interest in that property. As of this moment, we haven't done any more than just the church. And of course, we had the proposed clinic, which was going to be the 3 acres to what would have been the southwest corner of that property. So we haven't actually made any other, of course the site wasn't quite prepared because we didn't have the common drainage, but we haven't made any other commitments to develop any of the rest at this time.
What we gained is, like to answer, to kind of give you more insight, Mr. Archers, the circle was what we initially did. It was be more like a business park, like professional services, lawyer offices, daytime use, I guess you'd say, more from 8 to 5 practices, doctor offices, all
mixed use is what we call it.
Mixed use. And then with the land, with the dam, and what we did, we went out there, Tony and I went out there, and we kind of, I think we really saved the city a lot of money and really gave us another development. We can now build a cul-de-sac on that one end, hopefully, and have enough room to where we can,
on the west end
on the west end there by Davidson's, to where we can kind of develop that whole, you'll have basically a front off of 27th and then maybe another street there, so you can get some more mixed-use type facilities. They could be, what we initially had in mind is offices kind of built like houses, but industrial houses, bigger, home, brick on the outside with asphalt shingles, of course, kind of a nice aesthetic like you see all in Oklahoma City and Edmond and those areas. So that's kind of what we had in mind before.
Okay, my next question is, from what I understand, we've had 2 people that have been very interested, but they can't ever reach a deal with the city.
We have one proposal, official proposal.
Who was that?
Dr. Schaefer.
Oh, we didn't know about that.
We had an initial proposal that we had, that I still have, as a matter of fact, to develop the portion to the west that, as I said, it wasn't quite finished yet. Also, we had interest from more than one. We probably had interest from 4 other entities.
But I think that one deal that you got from Dr. Schaefer,
yes,
it was in the initial stages of this, is that right?
Yes.
And that was also based on the same price that the church was. and that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was before,
Because-
we'd already had the roads developed by that, I mean, at that point in time, and we needed, Schaefer would be a good fit out there, but it would be, it'd be beneficial more so than, getting that land reassessed. at
Well,
this
and
point.
let me be straight. I'm not going to mislead you. I didn't have the votes. And when you have an economic development prospect that comes to you, as we've had others, and you don't have the votes, you don't want to embarrass them by bringing it to a public vote. So I think I answered that question for you today.
But we never did,
And
we
so
never did see a proposal.
I'll answer it publicly here. I just didn't have the votes to move forward with that project.
But we never did, the city council or myself never
Never
knew
had.
anything about a proposal or anything.
No, never have.
No, we never knew anything about a proposal.
We just were told that we would not sell for that.
For that price.
For that price.
At the same amount that the church did initially.
That's right,
Before
sir.
the roads were built.
That's
Because once you
right.
build the roads, the land increases in value.
And I believe that's exactly what I told Mr. Archer.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
But we just didn't have it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Any other questions?
Does that answer your questions, Mr. Archer?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. Do we need to make a vote on that?
I don't know if we have a motion.
I mean, we need a motion. That's what I mean. Do we need to take a vote on that? I need a motion to approve Silver Star's change order.
I thought I made it.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
Councilman Stevenson, second by Councilman Delano. Roll call vote start with Vice Mayor Archer.
Yes.
Councilman Myers? Yes. Councilman Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilman Delana?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Number 4, discussion, consideration, possible action regarding a surplus of a 2000 Freightliner model F60 VIN number 1FV3GFB C9YHA74038. Ambulance?
Do you have any comments to make?
This is the ambulance that was replaced at Mercy. It was taken offline, so
We're going to sell it at auction.
that's our policy.
We're going to try to have an auction. Yeah, it's a policy. We're going to try to have an auction in springtime or something. Is that right, Tony? Is that what you said? I mean, that's
Yes, sir.
we need to have one, don't we now?
We need to have one when it's weather is warm.
But with all these buildings moving around, we got a lot of extra stuff. Okay. So I need a motion to consider surplus.
Okay. So move.
Got a second?
Second.
Roll call vote start with Councilman Delana.
Yes.
Councilman Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Archer?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Number 5, to conduct a public hearing concerning the proposed development for a public baseball field located at 225 North Country Club Road in the city of El Reno. I now open this public hearing. It's for purposes for grant issues is what we're going to do this for. Is that correct, Grant?
Yes, sir. I can introduce the item. This was, there's 2 items left on the CIP referendum. Everybody calls it just a CIP, but that's a CIP referendum. The CIP is much bigger than just a referendum. And those 2 items are the drying in of the old pool house and this baseball field. And we became aware through John's effort and Matt Sandage, our new planner, that there may be some opportunities to get some funding for this baseball field. So if we apply for this grant and get that funding, that's going to help us to develop that baseball field. And that means that some of that money then would be offset to be used on other things under the CIP referendum. So that's what this is, just a public hearing. And we certainly welcome any comments, pro or con.
Is anybody against the baseball field? Billy? Darren? Coach? Doug, raise y'all's hand if you're for it, I guess. Koba? Okay. Who's for it? All right. Anything else? All right. I now consider this public hearing closed. Is that right, Tony?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go on to item number 6. Now, item number 6, Mr. Reinhardt. And Mr. Delane, I might need your help with this. We had a public hearing, which we'll let everybody talk if they want to, but we had a public hearing, and we voted on, I opened the public hearing and I closed the publipe hearing.
You just tabled the discussion.
And then we just tabled the discussion item, really. Does that make sense? And I think you made the motion that one of us, but anyway, I think that was our intent. So I'm going to skip the public hearing, but I'm going to surely allow anybody that wants to talk during the item. Does that make sense? Sure. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Go on to B, discussion, consideration, and possible action requested by Paul J. and Jeannie M. Atkins of conditional use permit to allow cleaning and storage of portable fracking berms in suburban agricultural A2 on the plus or minus 2.70 acres, the east 309.80 feet of the north second of the Block 11 Meridian Heights addition, and the east 309.80 feet of the south second of block of the 6th Meridian Heights addition, and the northwest 4th section 21 Township 12 North Range 7 west of the Indian Meridian, the city of El Reno, and Canadian County. Okay, Chairman Delane, or not Chairman,
Councilman,
no,
am I something else?
No, well, you were 3 times today, yes.
I agree.
You are a councilman. You tabled this because we wanted more information, is that right? What was it?
Well, there was, the DEQ reports were vague. We've still got similar issues tonight. We've got a DEQ approval, but it expired on the 1st or 2nd of January, so I'm not real sure about that. But that was basically, there was just a lot of information. There was a lot of discussion. I think maybe people just needed to kind of think about what we had.
Okay. Is there anything that we haven't covered from last meeting, or anything else that anybody would like to discuss that we haven't discussed from last meeting, or anything else in discussion?
I'm Mark Henriksen. I'm a lawyer from Oklahoma City, and I represent several of the neighbors who have protested this. I spoke to you a month ago, and I feel confident. All members of the council remember those arguments, so I'm not going to make any of them again. Since we were here a month ago, my client has clients have circulated some additional protest petitions and have submitted them last Friday with the Planning and Zoning Board with Maurice. I'd like to know on the record what percentage of protest was achieved. I've never been informed of that.
Well, I can respond to that. And by the way, there was one received yesterday. May I respond? Or?
No, I'm running the meeting, and yes, you absolutely can respond.
Okay.
And nobody else is going to talk.
Okay. You're right that the ordinance says that, the consideration shall be that area involved within 300 feet for each lot. And we drew a map which initially appeared to have about a 50-50 split, and I think you knew that. I think it was getting to be that close. However, upon confirming the protest today, I determined that the latest protest, which involved a substantial piece of property, was received yesterday, which is within the 3-day limit. In other words, it wasn't received Friday. So that pretty well makes the appearance on a map, and now I'm going to explain to you what we would have to go through to confirm this, that there's not 50% of area of protest at this time. Okay, now if that was to pass by a simple vote and someone wanted to confirm that, you realize that what would have to happen is a physical survey of each portion of each site, to be taken out there, determining what the square footage or acreage or whatever would be, and then determine officially what those figures would be. So all we can go by is this map, which basically shows on paper here that it fell short of the 50% required.
And just so that I understand on the record that's being made, that is excluding the protest petition that was submitted yesterday.
Yesterday, yes, sir.
And so the record's finally clear on that. If that were included, they would be in excess of 50%.
That's where it brings it to that hard to determine.
Well, obviously I am not in a position to quarrel on the math calculations that have been tentatively made by city staff. I would suggest as you make the calculations that there's been, as you sit here today, over half of the affected parties, as you all define it by a 300-foot radius, have objected. We think perhaps more than 50%, but certainly there's significant opposition. And why is that so? I'm not going to address the issues we discussed about the environment a month ago. We've tried very hard to clarify exactly what DEQ will do, and after several conversations, I'm not prepared credibly to say that I think that I know. My opinion is that they're going to do an annual drive-by inspection or respond to specific complaints. The reason we object primarily is that this changes the character of the neighborhood, and whether the CUP addresses the environmental concerns adequately or not, it does change the character so that in the next few months or the next couple of years, there will be, in my prediction, other applications appearing before this council for industrial land uses in that neighborhood. And the argument that will be presented to you at that time was that you've changed the character of the neighborhood and it's now an industrial area, and therefore you ought to allow another industrial area to take place. I addressed the philosophical issues of residential area versus economic growth a month ago, and I'm not going to address that again. The neighbors out there are very opposed to this, and they're calling on their elected officials to deny this conditional use permit. The final other point I wish I'd made a month ago, it dawned on me driving home that it was stated that the zoning was sort of a change, was sort of a no-brainer solution because no one objected, and that's true, to Mr. Atkins and Mrs. Atkins putting a barn up or having construction out there. But in order legally to do that, since it wasn't 5 acres, it was a non-conforming use, and therefore it had to have a zoning change. And it struck me that if this weren't a package deal, really, zoning change plus a CUP for an industrial use, that other objection could have been adequately satisfied if the zoning law imposed a burden upon the land use by enforcement of the zoning ordinance. Then that's what a variance is for. And that would have been a much less controversial solution to this than this package deal that's been presented. And I suggest the reason it's been presented this was because it wasn't about constructing a barn. It was about converting the neighborhood to an industrial use. You were generous with your time a month ago, and unless there's some questions, I'm going to sit down.
Thank you, Mark. Mark, you did a good job. Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wasn't going to take much of it until Mark came up. To go along with what he said on a couple of those, I'm going to pass out, if I can. I didn't know we were still taking protest or paperwork. Is it okay if I turn in a couple that have rejected the protest after they've heard the truth?
Again, you may turn it in, but the deadline is 3 days prior.
Okay, no, that's
That's
fine.
why we're not
Well,
accepting the one.
just to help Mark's numbers a little bit more.
It wouldn't be fair to,
Okay,
that's just,
I get
it's not
that.
reasonable.
I'm absolutely fine with that. And I think in one of your packages that, I'm not for sure that Ms. Novak had them sign it. I wasn't there, but I think Ms. Novak, as I read it, it says, after further consideration, I would like to protect the request of Paul and Jeannie Atkins for the rezoning and conditional use permit. She took this to her people and had them sign it and turned it into the city. I got my copy from the city. I think you guys should have a copy in your packet. I wasn't going to take up your time. First of all, I do want to say thank you to a few of you. Mr. Delana, thank you for meeting with me and my uncle. I appreciate it, to work on a solution to help us. Mr. White, thank you for taking phone calls. I appreciate that. Mr. Stevenson, thank you for taking my phone calls. Mr. Archer, you talked a little bit, I wasn't going to bring your name up, sir, but you talked a little bit earlier about flexible, listen and talk to your people. I tried to call you numerous times, left you messages to talk to me about your concerns on this issue, and you didn't want to talk to me. I wasn't even going to bring that up, but until you said that comment, I felt that this was only fair. We've complied with everything the city's asked, the city staff. The planning commission told us we jumped through hoops just to make this happen, to make it work. They passed us 6-1. To answer the question on the permit from DEQ, I got that. All I have to do is submit the same stuff in again. It's on a 5-year basis. It ran out December 31st. Tad Dow told me, make a copy of the same stuff, submit it, and it's fine to go. To answer that, and the only reason I haven't done it, I'm waiting on this meeting. It's $100. It's the same exact permit I had before. To answer that question, you know, he talked about A2 and drilling and stuff. You can put an oil and gas drilling well on A2 without a permit. You know, the business that I'm dealing with is a small part of oil and gas drilling. You know, I'm not bringing chemicals like they do onto locations, not doing that. You know, he talked about the influence of the neighborhood out there. Ms. Novak, which I think is one of his clients, they store their trailer that they pull up and down the yard at their house. Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill that live right next door run a business out of their house. They store machinery, forklifts, cranes, have their workers live in their metal building right there next door. But, I mean, that's the only thing. If apples are apples and oranges are oranges, let's be honest with each other and be real. I mean, I'm not trying to do anything that I think's out of the norm. With that being said, you know, I've heard a lot. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate everything, and go from there.
Okay, Jason, I think Councilman Myers has a question.
Something that came up in between last month and this month. You guys use a power washer?
Yes,
to
sir.
wash them off?
Yes, sir.
How much steam or how much vapor, how much of that comes off of those tarps? I mean, I've run a power washer a couple of times, and then there's quite a bit of mist, steam, whatever you want, vapors. I don't know the correct word for
I mean,
it.
you've washed your car at the car wash, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not quite as powerful as those, but to sit here and give you a
PSI?
Yeah, a PSI, I can't
Well,
tell you.
I'm not really looking
No, I
for
can't
that.
tell you.
But
Is there going to be mist? But
just
yes,
so
is it under a lien?
Just to be clear, I mean, there is some.
I think we're, honestly, my opinion, we're chasing here. We've been chasing. One thing got okay, then we made a solution for that. Our side made a solution for that. Then we went to the next step. We got a solution for that. Then we went to the next step. Is there going to be mist? Yes, we're under a carport. You know, I've been over backwards. I'm spending an extra $7,000 plus just to put a tank in the ground, so nothing's going. Yeah, I mean, we can keep looking and we can keep searching and keep playing these games, but I want to go to work and I want the best interest in the community, just like each and every one of you should do. I'm not trying to do anything that is not right, Mr. Myers.
You know, Mr. Johnson, I'm not accusing you of doing anything wrong.
Okay.
Mr. Atkins, we met. I visited with you about this. You know, I've had a problem from the very beginning.
Told us also that you talked to our neighbors, and you talked to most of our neighbors, and our neighbors couldn't pick you out of a lineup. They had no idea who you are. So that's why I didn't contact you on this issue.
Well, I
mean, just to be honest, if we're getting it
just
out.
to be clear, since you want to be honest.
I am.
I mean,
Well,
no.
No.
I got you.
I'm gonna let you talk, but hang on.
No,
You're not gonna tell me. No. Listen, I'm gonna let you ask the questions, but you're not gonna tell me no. We're gonna run the meeting now.
Well,
You can ask me a
when
question.
You don't
Go
allow
ahead.
me to have the
No,
floor
I'm not
when
gonna
it's
allow.
mine.
I'm not gonna allow. I'm gonna take control for both of you. Both of you are talking one at a time. Now that's whether you like it or not. We're gonna go by the rules, boys.
It'd be
Go
nice
ahead,
if we did.
Mr. Myers. Go ahead and ask
But
your question.
anyway, just to be clear, I did not tell you that I had talked to all your neighbors. I talked to the neighbors that had contacted me about this. And so it did not include all the residents. Our numbers are published in the Tribune. It's not a secret. They can call me at any time, as I've stated earlier in the meeting. I live and die by that phone. And it's not very often I don't have it with me 24 hours a day. So, but with that being said, we're not chasing anything. And I want both of you to understand, or your family to understand, my position is not opposed to your business, what you want to do. I just think it's in the wrong area. I don't think that it's conducive to that neighborhood. I think the division that it's caused, and certainly in the way that different things were handled early on with the permits, from my understanding, the way that it was done, the fast tracking that was allowed to go on, it wasn't fair to the rest of the residents in that neighborhood. And that's it. I have nothing personally against anything of your family, and it's certainly not opposed to this business. It's just, in my opinion, in the wrong place.
Okay, you have your right to opinion, I appreciate that. But I don't know of the fast tracking that you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about there. But to go along with what you're being said is running chemicals and storing chemicals that spray lawn in that neighborhood, okay? I'm just asking, in your opinion, is it okay to have out there?
Is that an issue? Are you not chasing things now?
No, I'm making oranges to oranges, apples to apples, brother. I'm all about the same.
Okay. Okay.
I'm done. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time. Thank you for your
No,
time.
well, you can't. I was trying to help you on that one.
No.
Yeah.
Gosh,
I mean,
Matt, you're
yeah.
always in the way so much, I don't know when you're trying to help.
Yeah, I understand.
But, Mr. Johnson, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry, along with my background's ag. And so, if anything, I'm a little bit more familiar with herbicides and chemicals that would be used in yards versus fracking chemicals. My experience with fracking chemicals is none. Absolutely none, other than my brother was in the oil field for over 30 years. When this issue came up, I called and asked him. My brother doesn't have a dog in this fight. He just told me just what happens on an oil field location, the chemicals that are used during fracking, and why that would, even your own attorney last month said that the berms, the tarps, are used to protect the environment. Those type of things scare me to death in a residential area. I am not saying that you haven't gone through hoops and tried to do whatever the planning board asked you to do. I think you did. You agreed to all of them. It's just in the wrong place.
I don't have to wear a mask to do my job. With that being said, they have to wear a mask to spray there. I don't have to wear a mask to do that. I understand, I appreciate your time, I understand, but with that being said.
Sure, I appreciate you. Okay. Anything that we have not discussed prior to? Come on up, Greg. State your name, Greg. I'm sorry.
Greg Roberts. The chemicals you spray your yard with ain't near as powerful as a fracking sand and a fracking acid. I've hauled acid before, on locations for frack jobs, and I've actually need a hole in the ground, just drip. Small drips need a hole this big in about 10 feet. And I now own the property that backs up to theirs, or whatever it is. And if there's mist going around, I don't want the mist going around my animals, killing my animals or grass or whatever, harming my place. And I'm sure Mr. O'Neill don't want it either. You know, there's a big difference between acid and yards being sprayed. You know, I think there's a big danger there, and it needs to be somewhere else. I don't think it needs to be right in the neighborhood like it is.
Thanks, Greg. Any other discussions that had not been discussed at this time? Doug, state your name, sir.
My name's Doug Tapp. You were saying, you want to compare oranges to oranges, apples to apples. I do work in the oil field, and I've been on frack jobs, and nothing on a frack job would be allowed to be sprayed on a yard. Those berms are there to protect the environment. We wear an outrageous amount of safety equipment when we do this, because we deal with a huge concentrated amount of this stuff. There is residue on those berms. That's what they're there for. The times I've seen the berms cleaned on location is a guy smoking a cigarette, holding a hose off a vacuum truck, sucking up the water. So you're going to have residual effects. All right. You talk about the acid. It's
Smoke for me. You said you smoking a cigarette by these chemicals?
Yeah.
Okay. I just making sure that's what I heard you say. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not me.
No, you said the guy
Yeah.
vacuuming the chemicals up was smoke.
No.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. I'm going to help. Does that remind you mind if I get in there again?
Boy, you did.
Okay, go ahead, Doug. Go ahead.
You stay hooked.
Yeah.
But you're dealing with 15, 28%, something like that, hydrochloric acid a lot of times. you're dealing with a bunch of gels, a bunch of other different polymers. The frac sand itself, it's not biodegradable. I mean, they're little ceramic beads. What else? You have clay stabilizers, and the big thing is the biocides that they use to treat the frac water, because it's coming from ponds, rivers, lakes, whatever. And the biocide is used in the water, so that when it's pumped through the pump, the friction and the heat, it causes the microorganisms and bacteria to bloom. The biocide prohibits that. So that's going to be having a residual effect too, because I've never seen a dry frac location. Never. And on a location, I mean, you have downhole, you have cemented casing and everything else to help protect the water levels and the environment. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Doug. Okay. Any other discussion at this point in time? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jennifer Woods. I've heard bits and pieces of both sides, and to me it's all confusing. I don't know.
Join the crowd, Ms. Woods.
I mean, you want to make your business? Great. I just purchased my house 3 years ago. My mortgage through the roof. If I want to move, I'm going to be able to sell my place because of this business coming in. What is this going to do to my 8-year-old daughter?
Well,
Yeah, I'm asking.
yeah, let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and facilitate this because she went last meeting. I think the bottom line is we did ask for some things from the DEQ. At that point in time, there wasn't, from what the DEQ report said, there wasn't dangerous substance. I think it goes back to Mr. Tabb that's been in the oil field. We're just going by the experts that we have and people's, I think different opinions are of different things. I mean, the one that's the Department of Quality is in charge of it said it wasn't an issue. I'm not saying for or against, I'm just saying that's what we got at that point in time. Other people in the neighborhood seem to think there is an issue with it.
Okay,
Does that clarify everything?
Well, a little bit, but
Okay.
like I agree with you, it's in the wrong place. Can we take that and move it right over here? Would it be safe? Do you want it anywhere else? Do you want it next to your house? I agree, it's good business, that's great. Wrong place. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Go ahead. Come on up, April, if you want to say something. You make it quick. And I say that. I don't want you to go over the. You can take your time, but just don't go over the. No, just you can do what you want. I want everybody to have an opportunity to speak.
I know everyone.
We just don't have to beat the. We've gone over this.
We're ready to
Sure.
close the door on this
Sure,
issue too,
sure.
and I'm hoping I'm standing before the leaders of this community, and I have faith that you guys are going to make the right choice here. And I just want to. I feel compelled to say something that I want to thank. Mr. Archer made a statement that earlier this evening, the best for this resident to need to listen to the people of this community and stop creating ways to divide the community. And I think tonight's going to be a great opportunity for us as El Reno citizens to do the right thing. Thank you.
Well, that was quick, April. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Any other discussion? Does the council have any other questions?
You store any of those chemicals at your place?
Store any chemicals? No, sir.
Okay. Do what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We went over that last time.
Chemicals
He
on the mats.
said clinical control on the mats, is what he said. Okay, any other questions? Mr. Delaney, you have any?
No, I've got a comment, and it may not be appropriate this time, Mr. Mayor. If you want to move me along, that's fine. I've struggled with this a lot. I know both sides very well. And I've tried to work with Paul and you on some way to meet in the middle, because I think there's a lot of responsibility on both sides. I think from his standpoint, I think they jumped into something and didn't plan it properly. I think the discussions on the other side were not, for whatever reason, didn't get together fast enough. There were protests that were brought in, they were later rescinded, so there was a lot of discussion there. So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm trying to set the stage of where I'm going with my comments. I don't think that the business is appropriate in that area. I'll be the first to say that. By the same token, we've got a business that somebody's trying to start and make a living. So it's a tough call. And to be honest with you, Paul, till tonight, I was leaning very strongly to try to submit the proposal that you and I had talked about, and I'd talked about it with Pat more than once. I just don't think it'll work, and I apologize for that. So those are my comments.
Okay.
It'll move along.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I appreciate your confidence it'll move along. When I move the meeting, it will. All right. Any other comments? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Lori Ebner, and I live at 1604 South Alice, and I just wanted to comment about Miss O'Neill's comment. We have an active pipe yard in our backyard that wasn't there and wasn't active before, and we couldn't sell our house for half the price. It was still going at 7:05 when I came to this meeting. Nobody wants that, and they certainly don't want that.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Do I have a motion for, let's see. I gotta get straight here. So that's consideration possible action for questions. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept or or reject, I guess you'd say, because it just says discussion, so I guess we need to either make an action or just die. Discussion, consideration, possible action requested by the Paul and Jeannie Atkins for conditional use permit, to allow the cleaning storage of portable fracking beans in suburban A2 agriculture on 2.7 acres.
Make a motion that we reject it.
Second.
I have a motion that we reject it. I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote start with Councilman Delana.
Yes.
Councilman Stevenson?
No.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Nope.
Councilman Archer?
Okay, I'm sorry. The motion was to reject it, and you said
Yes.
yes, and then you said no. I got you. And then you said yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Councilman Archer?
Yes.
Mayor White?
I have to abstain. Okay, but I think y'all did a good job. Number 7, discussion and consideration of possible action to approve resolution 13-027, a resolution to approve participation in the state of Oklahoma, Department of Transportation signal light of Radio Road 66.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Okay, motion and second. Roll call vote. Start with.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, it was a vote. He made the motion and he seconded it. Roll call vote. Start with Archer.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Councilman Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilman Delana?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Presentation of financial reports. Is there any questions on financial reports at this time? Number 8. Reports. Do we have any at this point in time? Let's see. We'll start with Councilman Delana. Do you have anything?
Only very quickly that, as we've learned tonight, and there's other issues, as Lori pointed out, it's critically important that we establish our rules, whether it be zoning, variances, whatever, and we make people stick to them. Pay attention to what the rules are, and that we enforce them. It's a two-way street. We can make all these rules, but if we work around them, that doesn't go anywhere. So it's extremely critical that when we have rules, the citizens follow them because that's the benefit. If they don't like the rules, they can come and petition to get them changed. Thank you. Okay, Councilman Stevenson?
Who's in charge of Public Works now?
Myself.
You are? I wonder if there's any way we could get all them sticks picked up down there by the bridge on Foreman.
Sure.
Mr. Luckett was gonna burn them.
Hey, did you ever hear anything about that,
Yeah, it's becoming a dump
State Drive?
down there. You betcha, you betcha.
And we did get the bark up. Tony, we did get the bark up. Third time.
But you're right, those need to be picked up. You're absolutely right. No, we're working on that. That was previously. We had one of those metal plates on it,
plates
which you hadn't ridden on it.
No, I don't know.